on a very serious note, um, many of you that have been following me for a while know that I'm very passionate about this subject, and I'm going to talk about it. I had a good discussion with a friend in America this morning, and talking about a lot of things about the struggles and about some of the issues with health and healing and wellness and some of the challenges, and and especially the issue with and this is something I'm passionate about, is the fact that it's not about, and I see this a lot with a lot of clients. It's not about coming up with a solution in regards to, well, we need this supplement or we have this imbalance. A lot of the time it's how do we break the patterns of thinking, the conditioning that this person has, the conditioning that led to that person being sick in the first place, because that's where the real challenge is. It's an unconscious thing, and we really need to deal with it on an unconscious level. And I certainly focus a lot on this when I'm working, especially with coaching clients, because I have the time to do this. But it also brings home the issue, and I've mentioned this many times. I'm really passionate about this. Is that what are we doing with children? There's a lot of this conditioning begins at a very early age. What happens when little Johnny does well at school? What happens when little Johnny has a birthday? What happens when little Johnny has Christmas? What happens when little Johnny does well? He gets rewarded with some processed sugary junk. This happens a lot. And this gets back to parents taking responsibility. Poor little Johnny doesn't know any different, doesn't understand the importance of what this is going to do to him in the future. This is what's happening with kids. They're just brought up. A lot of children are brought up, and I'm sure some of you watching this video now have not only understand this, but are doing this to their children. It's an unconscious thing. It's okay, but you've got to realize, you've got to understand this, and you've got to start taking responsibility for your children, because they don't know any difference. You do. Because what happens when Johnny goes through life at a very young age, and each time he does something well, he's rewarded with something that's going to fuck up his life. It's going to lead into low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, obesity. Yeah? This is what's happening. And as the child starts getting into their teens, they start running into all these problems. And then we end up with this continual conveyor belt of illness, of sickness as they get older. That these issues, that a lot of them began when they were young and conditioned to believe that it was okay to eat this stuff because it was a reward. And it's programmed in their mind as they get older that whenever something good happens, to actually feed them with something that's going to contribute to a lot of ill health in their future. So just think about this. It's really, really important. We really need to jump on this. We've got to stop this conveyor belt of sickness, of illness, of continual focusing on the resources and our money and our time on fixing and curing a problem that was preventable in the first place. If only we started taking more responsibility as parents with our children, because this is where a lot of it begins. Okay, I'm really passionate about this, and you can see this obviously that I am, because this needs to stop. It's a generational thing. We start taking more responsibility for our children that do not know any different. They do not understand the importance that they shouldn't be eating this because they're guided by their parents who feed it to them. It's got to stop. Okay, and we've got to start focusing on this generational change. We've got to start focusing on stopping this conveyor belt of illness, of depression, of anxiety, of low self-esteem that a lot of children are facing as they move into their teens.